How's it going, Jack Tackers, and welcome back to another video for you guys. Today, I'm going to be ranking all 9 seasons of The Flash from the worst to the best, with the conclusion of the final season. I think it's time we look back at all the seasons and decipher which ones we like more than others. And I believe the last time I actually did a Flash ranking was when Season 6 wrapped up, so you guys don't even really know what my thoughts on Season 7 or 8 are. I guess you know my thoughts on Season 9 if you were watching my reviews for that season. But yeah, we'll talk about each individual one as we move through the list. And before we get into this, I do need to mention that I do love the show, it definitely gradually got worse. Not to spoil my ranking, but yeah, in my opinion, the show kind of worsened over time. But I still do really like it, so just keep that in mind. All the negative things I say about the show are coming from a place of love, so to speak. So, yeah, with that being said, let's just get on into the ranking. So, starting off at number 9, my least favorite season of the show would probably be Season 7. Now, Season 7, simply put, has the worst storylines the show ever produced. And I'm specifically talking about the Forces storyline, where it's revealed that these Forces are actually Barry and Iris's children. And that was super weird and downright wacky at times, I'll be completely honest. And it was just a boring storyline. It was uninteresting. It was just very weird. I was not feeling it. I really was not feeling it. And then at the beginning of this season, we have some of the stuff that was supposed to be in Season 6 because Season 6 got cut short. And it wasn't even that good. So that's another negative. And then finally, to cap things all off in this season, we're introduced to Godspeed. Well, reintroduced to Godspeed, because I guess his first appearance was technically in Season 5. But we see Godspeed coming to the forefront as like the main antagonist of the storyline, and I feel like he was completely wasted. He wasn't even in that many episodes, and what they did with him was so underwhelming, dude. Like, I didn't like what they did with him at all, and I thought it was very dumb. And yeah, I didn't like it at all. So Season 7, pretty bad. There's not many redeeming qualities about this season. I think there's one decent episode where, weirdly enough, Cisco and Chester go to travel back in time to the 90s. And I know that was technically part of the Forces storyline, but I liked that episode for some reason. I don't know. I thought it was decent. And that's honestly like the only good thing I can say about this season. I don't like it. It's really not good. Anyways, moving on to number 8, I have Season 8. And listen, when everyone talks about this season, they always mention Armageddon, the first 5 episodes, and it's fine. It's not a bad crossover event. It's definitely not like one of the best crossover events the Arrowverse has ever had, but it's okay, especially seeing Black Lightning again. I really loved Black Lightning and Barry's interaction. That was really awesome. And Despero's a decent antagonist, or a decent character overall. He was kind of interesting. And honestly, Season 8 as a whole should technically be my least favorite season. And why do I say that? This should technically be my least favorite. Because this was actually the season I stopped watching weekly and waited for the rest of the season to drop on Netflix. So like a few episodes after the Armageddon crossover event, I went to Netflix and just waited for it to drop to Netflix first, and then I watched the rest of it because I did not feel like watching it week to week anymore. So that's why Season 8's so low. I'm sure there's some people who like certain parts of it, and it is cool. This is also the season we get to see Barry get his gold boots for the first time, which is important, I suppose. But I don't know, I didn't really like what they ended up doing towards the end of the season. There's like a moment where Iris dies, I think, like in the finale, but then she doesn't die through the power of love. And it is absolutely confusing. The season's just confusing overall. And then they give Thawne that weird black suit at the end, which I did not like. It looked really strange. And yeah, it gets really confusing. So yeah, I don't know. I really like the majority of this season, apart from Armageddon. And even Armageddon, I think people hype up a little too much. So there you guys go. Anyways, moving on to number 7, I have Season 5. Season 5's another pretty weak season, in my opinion. I mean, let's just start off with the the terrible suit in this season. The infamous Season 5 suit. Oh man, I still remember to this day when that leaked image of the suit dropped and people lost their minds. I myself included, I was absolutely speechless. Speechless in a bad way. It was horrible. And yeah, it's just bad, but I'm not gonna talk about that too much. That's all I really gotta say. But in this season, we also have the villain of Cicada. And Cicada is a pretty horrible villain. I'm not going to say he's the worst villain the show's ever had, but I mean, yeah, he's pretty low on the totem pole. And then his daughter, or no, I think it's his niece. Who cares? His niece ends up becoming the Cicada in like the second half of the season. And honestly, my main negative with this season as a whole is that it's incredibly repetitive. There is some okay stuff like with Thawne towards the end, or at least that dynamic between Nora and Thawne. They don't really do that much with it by the end of the season, but it was kind of a neat reveal when we find out that Nora had this kind of a bond with Thawne. That was kind of interesting. I just wish they played that up a bit more. Also, I suppose the King Shark versus Gorilla Grodd episode is okay. It was kind of fun. And another negative, though, I have with the season, Nora is sometimes annoying, and I don't hate her character or anything, but, in this season, she's definitely at her worst, I would say, for the most part. Again, some of the stuff she is, when she's with Thawne was okay, but, yeah, overall, I don't particularly love this season that much, which is why it's ranked pretty low. Anyways, moving on to number 6, I have Season 9, the final season, the newest season, and, it's kind of like, I guess, in the middle portion of this list, in this ranking, simply because it's a pretty short season. And I gotta be honest, that's a positive. At least it didn't drag on forever. However, there are a lot of bad things in this season, I'll admit. But, overall, I don't think it's a horrible season. I think the final few episodes are decent enough, particularly episodes 9, 10, and I'd say even episodes 12 and 13 are okay. Episode 11 is kind of eh. But, and then, oh my gosh, the middle portion of this season, episodes 6 through 8, where Barry just isn't in the Flash suit. And I know there were some, specific reasonings behind that, but I don't really care. He's not in the Flash suit for, 3 episodes in this season. And he isn't even in, certain episodes towards the end that much. It's really weird. The absence of Barry this season, or the Flash, I should say, is kind of strange. And then you have Red Death at the beginning of this season, which I don't really think was entirely executed that well. Javicia Leslie as Red Death. Yikes, man. I think she's good as Batwoman, but I don't really think her being a villain, an antagonist, was fitting for her acting abilities, because her acting was not that good. I think she's good as Batwoman, though. I don't think she's, super bad when she is that character. It just was really strange for some reason when she was trying to, ham up her performance a little bit. And, I think overall it was satisfying, the final episode. It didn't blow me away. This season is kind of just meh for me. And it is bad at certain moments. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, but, it's got some pros and cons, we'll put it that way. Anyways, moving on to number 5, I have season 6. Now, the thing about this season, this is Eric Wallace's first season on the show, and without a doubt is his best season, in my opinion. The first half, the first, 9 or so episodes, are pretty damn solid. The whole Bloodwork storyline, I think Bloodwork is a good villain. I don't think he's great. I don't think he's a top 5 villain of the show, but he's good. I would say that. And all this stuff with the last temptation of Barry Allen, that 2-parter, and all the stuff leading into Crisis on Infinite Earths was super intense. And I think the Crisis on Infinite Earths episode was okay. It was decent. And in a way, the first half of the season really felt like a soft reboot for the show. And, you had the new suit, and coming off of the season 5 suit, this one looked absolutely stellar. I don't even know if it's my favorite, though. It's definitely up there. I really love the season 6 through 9 suit. I know he gets gold boots in season 8, but it's basically the season 6 through 9 suit. It's a good suit, but I don't know if it's 100% my favorite. But the thing about this season is that it unfortunately falls apart very quickly in the second half. And I am aware COVID affected this season, yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. I don't really think that's the problem, because as we saw in season 7, which was intended, the first, few episodes of season 7, which were intended to take place in season 6, the storyline just wasn't interesting with the Mirrorverse and Mirror Mistress or whatever. Incredibly dumb, incredibly boring. I did not like it whatsoever. And this season, it ends with episode 19, I believe, and it just doesn't really feel like there's a proper ending. But it is COVID related, so yeah. But the story they were going for is still just not that good, though. Like at the end of the day, the Mirrorverse storyline is just not that good. So I don't really know what to tell you. But yeah, I do like the first half a fair amount. So that's why it's ranked at number 5. Again, kind of in the middle portion of this ranking. But moving on to number 4, I have season 4, which the fact that season 4 of The Flash is this high is absolutely insane, because this used to be one of the worst seasons of the show, and it still in a way is, but there are actually many good things about this season in my opinion. I really think the Thinker is a good villain. Like, I really like him. The problem is, similar to season 6, the second half of the season, for the most part, is kind of mid. And what they end up doing with DeVoe, when he mind swaps with all these different people throughout the second half, it's incredibly uninteresting and just loses all the momentum and hype I have for the story and what's taking place. It takes all the momentum out of it and just doesn't become as intriguing anymore, if that makes any sense. And one thing that's really good about this season, of course, let's talk about the suit again. This is one of the best suits that Barry's ever worn, in my opinion. A negative about this season, though, is that it has the Girls' Night Out episode. So that's a big problem. I do not like the Girls' Night Out episode. Blech. But that does have the Flash Time episode, and I think that was good. But also this season, we have the We Are the Flash BS, which that's really, starting to take place in this season. And oh my God, it's bad. We Are the Flash. Get out of town, bro. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think the first half, again, it really is kind of a similar problem I have with season 6. The first half is okay, again, apart from the Girls' Night Out episode, which I think is episode 5. So yeah, I don't know. It's kind of like a conflicting season. And you also have the trial of Barry and him going to prison for a few episodes. Kind of interesting. It's not as good as what they did with Oliver and Arrow season 7, but it's not horrible either. So I don't know. There's a few decent moments here and there in this season, and some genuinely good stuff like DeVoe in the first half. I think the actor Neil Sandilands, I think his name was, he was really fantastic actually and super interesting. But then he's not really utilized as well in the second half, at least in my opinion. But there you guys go. That's number 4. And moving on to number 3, I have season 3. You'll start to notice a pattern as we go along here. And season 3 is a mixed bag, but I think overall I do like the season. And now we're starting to get into the seasons where I would probably like to rewatch someday. I would like to rewatch season 3 someday because it's kind of been a while, but you have Savitar in here as the main villain. I really, really love Savitar. Yes, the reveal that he's a future version of Barry is a little too late, but everyone says that, oh, they should have done that earlier and revealed that earlier, yada, yada, yada. And, I think he has a really good episode, Infantino Street, which I think is the penultimate episode of the season. I think that's a solid episode. However, the finale kind of ruins the episode because they do that stupid Iris fake-out death, and then we find out it's HR who actually died, and oh my God, that was bad. And I know some people kind of expected them to do a fake-out the entire season. I genuinely thought maybe Iris could die, especially when I watched episode 22. I was like, oh, she's dying. Nope. Man, I was fooled. But yeah, that Iris fake-out death was stupid. But what else this season? You also had the introduction of Julian. I thought he was a decent character. I liked Julian a lot. I will say a negative of the season, though, is that I wish Flashpoint was focused on a bit more. And I feel like a lot of people say this, but yeah, it's only focused on one episode. And it is executed all right. It's not a horribly done Flashpoint story. It'll probably be better than what the Flash movie ends up doing. But yeah, I do kind of wish there was a bit more to explore with that whole storyline. And another negative of the season, it has that stupid duet episode where Barry and Kara cross over and it's a musical episode. Oh my god. And he sings "Running Home to You." Like, no, dude, that is my nightmare. So I don't know. Season 3 really does have some bad moments, and I think, but I do like it at the end of the day. But I really do think just to see how bad the show ends up getting, people look back on season 3 and are like, maybe it wasn't that bad. There are some pretty bad moments in here. Let's not forget. But it is still pretty good. Like, I do like it. I'm not going to lie. Because there is some solid stuff in here. So I do like season 3, which is why it's ranked so high. But there is still some kind of moments. Anyways, moving on to number 2, I have season 2. Now, this actually used to be my number 1 favorite season, and I pretty much go back and forth between season 2 and season 1. But season 2 is just a really good season of the show. It's one of the best, of course, and it's one of my favorite seasons of the Arrowverse, and maybe even one of my favorite seasons of just superhero TV in general. I mean, it's pretty much on par with the first season. You have Zoom. He's fantastic and just absolutely horrifying, very scary villain. But a lot of people like to say Zoom is too reminiscent of Reverse Flash. He has like a similar motive and, just wants to be faster than the Flash and yada, yada, yada. But I still think Zoom is a very cool villain on his own. And we also have like the introduction of King Shark in this season, and that's actually one of my favorite episodes, season 2, episode 15, the first appearance of King Shark. That was really good. And the ending of this season was crazy. Obviously, Barry creating Flashpoint, that was absolutely nuts. And overall, I think season 2 is just a great sequel season. It's a good continuation of the story. You also have the introduction of the multiverse in this season, which, if you guys go back and rewatch this season, it is so damn fun and interesting seeing the multiverse for the first time, because really, I think this was like my first introduction to the multiverse, unless you read comics, or I don't know. I feel like there weren't many things, because the MCU obviously wasn't talking about the multiverse yet, and we hadn't had like all these, we haven't seen like all these different worlds in the multiverse. And when they go to Earth 2 for the first time, Barry and Cisco, that's still also one of my favorite episodes. It is so interesting and fascinating, and I just loved this season because it was so fun and just great stuff overall. It's a very fantastic season, I will say. But at number 1, my favorite season of the show is, of course, season 1. Again, yes, it goes back and forth with seasons 1 and 2, but for nostalgia's sake, I'm just putting season 1 at top to be basic, I guess. I mean, I'm pretty sure everyone has season 1 at the top. I have seen some lists where people say season 2 is better, and again, I used to be in that boat, but now I do think season 1 is just a tiny bit better than season 2. But again, it goes back and forth. But, you have Reverse Flash. He's just one of the best villains of all time, at least in television. I'm not going to lie. And it has a really intriguing story. It's a very great mystery, and there's a lot of suspense in this. And you really just are intrigued to see what happens each week. And I think that's the brilliance of this season. And it's just a great introduction to this world, to these characters. Well, to this world, even though we already saw it in Arrow. But like to these characters in specific, even though we also kind of saw them in Arrow. But you know what I mean. We get to see more of them explored. And this was just a very exciting and fun and focused season. It knew what it wanted to tackle. It knew exactly what kind of story it wanted to tell. And it never felt boring, which is, a thing that the later seasons end up doing a lot. It's like these stories are just not interesting. I don't care. And there's a lot of fantastic emotional moments. That's one thing that the show never really reaches again for me. I remember when this show used to make me cry a lot, and that is season 1. And season 2, I remember crying a lot, actually. And I don't know, it really made me feel super emotional at moments, especially that episode where we think Thawne kills Cisco. I think that's episode 15. That whole crazy reveal. And when I thought Cisco died, I was like so sad. And yeah, man, it was really great stuff. This season is one hell of a ride and just very fun. I mean, that's the only way I can describe this season. It's a great introduction, and I love it. I really do love it. And I miss this version of the show a lot. And now that I'm done talking about all of the seasons and ranking them, I have immense sadness all of a sudden. I'm not going to lie, especially when I was just talking about season 1. I feel very sad all of a sudden. That goes to show you I really do care about this show. I just, it fell off hard, and it is what it is. I'm not gonna lie to myself. I know some people probably think, oh no, it was good, and all sorts of different moments throughout the seasons. Some people will say the final season was perfect, that season 7 was somehow perfect. I'm sure there will be people out there who will lie to themselves, or maybe that's their genuine opinion. I don't know, but I'm just blabbering on now. It's crazy. I don't know. I was thinking of maybe doing like a top 10 episodes of the show, so I might do that. But after that, I really don't know when I'll ever make another Flash video. It's kind of crazy. But yeah, this video's gone on for far too long, but I just kind of wanted to explain my thoughts and kind of have like a quote-unquote definitive ranking of the seasons, because, yeah, I don't know if I'll ever rank the show again, unless I rewatch it, but I don't think I'll ever rewatch it in its entirety. I really want to go back and revisit the first probably 3 seasons, but yeah, I don't know if I could rewatch seasons 4 through 9 again, I'm not going to lie. But anyway, those are my thoughts on the show and each season, and that's my ranking. So please feel free to post your rankings of all the seasons down in the comments below. I am curious to see where you happen to rank what, and maybe, give me a brief explanation if you want. You don't have to. But yeah, I'm definitely curious to see what you guys have to say. And if you guys liked this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're new. Check out my Letterboxd and Twitter down in the description. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.